The latest in the manhunt for two Cherokee County jail inmates who escaped overnight. What some area's school districts learned over the course of the pandemic.
It's been 1 year since George Floyd was murdered. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House, where his family meets with President Biden as lawmakers take on police reform.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities search for two Cherokee County, Kansas jail inmates who escaped last night. This is KOAM News at 5. Cherokee County Sheriff says the escapees are Michael Martzloff and Mark Hopkins II. Martzloff was in jail for drug crimes and Hopkins was held for a double homicide. Authorities say the pair escaped through the jail's sewer system, then left in a 2008 white Honda Accord with a Missouri license plate number LG2XOF. They're both considered armed and dangerous. If you see them, you're asked to contact police. You should not approach the suspects. As the school year comes to a close, some districts across the four states are now taking the opportunity to look back at what they've learned over the past year. We spoke with officials in both the Joplin and Neosho school districts who say the school year presents a number of challenges. One of those challenges was knowing whether the safety plans the districts implemented would be enough.
I remember saying at the beginning of the year when we were planning so specifically our COVID reentry plans and all the safety protocols and how our buildings would look, we said, if this goes well, at the end of the year we're going to think that we overreacted. And if it goes poorly, then we're going to think that we underreacted.
In Joplin, a board meeting is scheduled for tonight in which they'll consider dropping the mask mandate in the district. Neosho's mask mandate ends tomorrow. Neosho. The Pittsburgh School District, USD 250, is lifting its mask requirements for students, staff, and visitors. The Board of Education says the decision was made at the recommendation of the Crawford County Health Department. The mandate is lifted immediately, meaning summer school and summer activities will not require masks. Checking in with Doug Hetty. Looks like there's some rain chances on that radar behind you, Doug.
Yeah, Down. We've had some scattered showers and thunderstorms out there throughout the afternoon. Some of these have been a little bit on the stronger side, but we haven't seen anything severe. But this little cluster, as it rolled into our western counties, a little stronger, but it has a weakened, at least over the past couple hours. But still, we got some hit and miss little storms. We're going to have these hit and miss storms throughout the evening hours. Nothing too strong, nothing severe, which is good news, but our severe weather chances will start to ramp up over the next couple days. So hit and miss storms next few hours, and then I think we look pretty good for the rest of the night. We may get a random storm in here late tonight into tomorrow morning. Temps mainly sitting low to mid 70s. Will drop back into the 60s as we go through the overnight hours. But our severe weather chances go way up over the next couple days. So we got a lot to talk about, all coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks, Doug. The family of George Floyd met with President Biden and top lawmakers today to mark a year since Floyd's murder by a Minneapolis police officer. His death sparked ongoing protests and a re-examination of racism and policing in the United States. Skyler Henry reports from the White House.
George Floyd's family marked the 1-year commemoration of his murder in Washington, D.C., meeting with President Biden and lawmakers.
Today is the day that he set the world in a rage, and people realize what's going on in America, and we all said enough is enough.
In Minneapolis, where he died, other members of the family joined elected officials for a moment of silence.
It's time for a change.
Floyd's murder, caught on cell phone and body cameras, sparked massive protests worldwide, calling for racial justice and police reform. President Biden called on Congress to come up with meaningful police reform by today, but that deadline won't be met.
We want to get this deal right and not quick.
One of the main negotiators, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey, tells CBS this morning he's hopeful a deal can be reached in the weeks ahead.
Everybody feels, I believe, a shared commitment to get something substantive, meaningful done that will create more transparency, more accountability.
In Minneapolis, the mayor has outlined policing proposals, re-emphasized or introduced after Floyd's death, banning neck restraints and chokeholds, and banning most no-knock warrants. The policing proposals come as crime figures show a 250% increase in gunshot victims across the city.
Just gotta be careful here with some gunshots. Excuse us.
Today, an Associated Press reporter along with bystanders ducked for cover as shots rang out near the scene of Floyd's death, just hours before a planned celebration in honor of his life was scheduled at the location. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Minneapolis police say one person was apparently transported to the hospital with a gunshot wound. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is overseas meeting with Israeli and Palestinian leaders as the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas holds for a fourth day. In Jerusalem, Blinken told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu the U.S. would rally international support to help rebuild Gaza after the 11-day war with Israel, but would also ensure Gaza's Hamas rulers don't benefit from the assistance. Coming up in Health Watch, another vaccine could be available to kids in the U.S.
The U.S. hits a vaccination milestone today. I'm Deborah Alfarone in Washington with the latest steps to get kids a COVID-19 vaccine shot before school starts in the fall.
And later, as people get out more, sales for cosmetics and clothing are rising. Seems the pandemic fueled bad eating habits and disorders among teens. The National Eating Disorder Association reported a more than 50% increase in call volume to its helpline since the start of the pandemic. More than a third of those patients are between 13 and 17 years old, and roughly 36% are 18 to 24. Researchers found the combination of social confinement and the feeling of being powerless worsened eating habits and disorders. The National Association of Anorexia Nervosa also saw a 50% rise in calls from young teens since the pandemic began. Many people skipped their breast cancer screenings during the COVID-19 pandemic, and a new study shows that women of color and women in rural areas were disproportionately affected. Researchers in Washington state found the number of completed mammograms declined nearly 50% overall. The drops were even steeper among Hispanic women and indigenous women. The number of U.S. adults who are now vaccinated continues to slowly climb, but now the Biden administration is raising the stakes to get even more people to sign up for the shots. There could also be a new vaccine available to kids, and the search for the origins of the coronavirus intensifies. Reporter Deborah Alfarone has more details from Washington, D.C.
The U.S. is hitting a milestone today with half of all American adults now fully vaccinated. To push that number higher, the Biden administration is allowing states to use federal funds to pay people to get the shot.
This includes lottery programs for vaccinated individuals, cash or in-kind transfers, or other monetary incentives for individuals who get vaccinated.
This comes as Moderna says its vaccine is safe for kids ages 12 to 17. The company plans to ask regulators to authorize the shot's emergency use in that age group. Moderna says out of more than 3,700 children in its clinical trial, there were no COVID-19 cases in those receiving its vaccine, compared to 4 cases in the placebo group. The vaccine also showed kids produce similar antibodies as vaccinated adults, with the same side effects of sore arms, headache, and fatigue.
Hopefully we'll be able to get adolescent high school students vaccinated actually before they enter the fall term, which is really very good news.
While governments race to get their citizens vaccinated, the search for the origins of the virus continues with a new report linking it back to a lab in Wuhan, China. The Wall Street Journal says an intelligence report indicates 3 employees at this Wuhan lab studying viruses had to be hospitalized in November 2019, a month before the first reported cases of COVID-19.
A transparent, independent phase 2 investigation, that's something we have strongly supported. That would require China finally stepping up and allowing access needed to determine the origins.
China's foreign ministry calls the reports totally untrue. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
The U.S. has called on China to release all information related to its research activity at the Wuhan lab. New research finds women who experience gestational diabetes are more likely to develop type 1 and type 2 diabetes later in life. While gestational diabetes usually disappears after pregnancy, researchers in Finland found 50% of patients later went on to develop type 2 diabetes and a small percentage developed type 1. A low blood pressure diet may also help your overall cardiac health. That's according to a new study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. It found that a low sodium diet combined with the so-called DASH diet, which is high in fruits and vegetables, also reduces heart injury and strain. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, a popular cruise line says passengers will have to be vaccinated to board.
And thunderstorm chances sticking around over the next few days. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it turned out to be another decent day for us today. Still a lot of clouds. We've had some random showers and a few random little thunderstorms out there, but in general, it has been a fairly quiet late May day. Temperatures not too bad. Most of us where it hasn't been raining, sitting into the mid 70s, a little bit cooler in spots into the upper 60s where you have seen some thicker clouds, some showers, and a few thunderstorms. A little breezy out there as well. We got these south winds at about 10 to 15. It's going to stay somewhat breezy throughout the evening into the overnight hours for us tonight. But currently outside, we're looking east from 7th and Range Line. Nice to have that camera back. South winds at about 5 to 10. 74, humidity is at 76% as we go through the evening hours. We'll slide back through the 70s, 60s eventually, kind of mid to upper 60s for overnight lows. All right, outside on the radar, a lot of clouds. We have these spotty little showers and a few little thunderstorms, nothing too strong. If you do get stuck underneath one of these little thunderstorms, they kind of pulse up. We'll drop some very heavy amounts of rain and a little thunder and a little bit of lightning, but we aren't seeing anything too strong or severe. Can see a cluster, McDonald County down through Benton County, again, just kind of moderate thunderstorms. Another cluster, northeastern Oklahoma from Nowata up toward Independence, Coffeyville, Parsons, just to the east of Erie, up towards Chanute. And then a couple other little tiny guys out near Lamar, Lockwood, Greenfield, just to the east of Mount Vernon. These are going to be hit and miss throughout the evening hours. Not a huge deal. Bigger thunderstorms will get going. Central Kansas and a few of those guys may try to straggle their way in during the morning hours, but I think most of the night looks pretty good. So a random storm late tonight into tomorrow morning. Slight chance we could get a random storm tomorrow afternoon, but I think Wednesday looks pretty good. A little bit warmer, more sunshine. 77 by noon, high temp of 83. Thunderstorms tomorrow night to our north. A few of these guys may get in Thursday morning that could be on the strong side. These push east. We warm into the 80s, our atmosphere gets very unstable, and then they explode mid to late afternoon, probably right along the I-35 corridor, and start to push off toward the south into the east. Most of these are going to be through by midnight, maybe 2 a.m. on Friday morning, but they could really pack a punch as they push through. So this is for Thursday, so still 2 days away, at least an elevated threat for severe weather during the day on Thursday. So that's something we want to watch as we're going to have chances for, of course, wind, hail, and possibly even some tornadoes. Behind it, we're going to have a pretty good holiday weekend. Then our next storm system will start to roll in by the time we head into late Monday into Tuesday of next week, which will give us also pretty good chances for showers and thunderstorms. All right, 83 for us tomorrow. Maybe a pop-up storm late, but I'm not expecting any severe weather threat for us tonight or really tomorrow. A moderate threat Thursday, a high threat Thursday night. Again, we could have all modes of severe weather, so wind, hail, and tornadoes. Still 2 days away, but we want to keep our eyes on it.
People are going to want to stay in touch for sure.
Yes, we do.
Thanks, Ted. Coming up, a recent rise in clothing and cosmetics sales. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Gary Klein served in the U.S. Army from 1965 to 67. The Garnett, Kansas native was stationed in Vietnam, and we salute Staff Sergeant Gary Klein, a four-state hero.
Doug.
Royal Caribbean says vaccines will be required to board its ships again. Travelers 16 and older departing from the U.S. or the Bahamas on or before August 1st have to be fully vaccinated before sailing. After August 1st, travelers as young as 12 must be fully vaccinated before travel. It's all part of Royal Caribbean's plan submitted to the CDC. United Airlines is offering vaccinated flyers a shot at winning free flights. The company says it applies to new or existing members of its Mileage Plus program. To participate, people have to upload their vaccination records to United's mobile app by June 22nd. Users will be entered to win a year's worth of free air travel for two. As vaccination rates rise and many places drop mask mandates, more Americans are going out again. That has a lot of people putting a new focus on their appearance. Reporter Tony Lopez looks at the boost in sales for both clothing and beauty products.
We're doing great here in the store.
Customers at Top Line Cosmetics and Fashion are looking to move on from the COVID gloom and glam it up again.
People are buying clothes and they're buying makeup.
Sales of lipstick and other beauty products plummeted during the pandemic for obvious reasons, with people staying home and covering up with masks. But now they're bracing for a cosmetic comeback.
We're going to restock pretty soon too, just because it's going to be a big change starting next month.
And shoppers, yes, are looking to finally ditch those pandemic pajamas.
We've seen an increase in our sales in clothing, so that's a good sign. I feel like people are really starting to come out.
From deodorant, teeth whiteners, and razors to condoms. Large retailers are seeing a double-digit increase in sales of personal care items compared to this time last year, when top sellers were toilet paper and hand sanitizer.
We're coming out of hibernation and we really want to look good.
Relationship expert Joey Garcia says it shows people are ready to reunite.
We're hungry to connect. We're human, and that's how we're constructed.
But even with a fresh new look, some may still be a bit rusty when it comes to going out.
There are going to be some people who are coming out of this pandemic time so desirous of connecting with others that they're going to come on too strong and scare people away.
But nothing's more scary than the beast of the year plus we just went through. Many feel it's time to focus on the beauty.
I feel like things are starting to get back to normal.
44% of working professionals say they feel more burned out today than they did a year ago. That's according to a survey by staffing firm Robert Half. And with 1 in 4 workers saying they did not use paid time off last year, 1/3 plan to take off at least 3 weeks this year. More than half are after a getaway, while about 1/3 are satisfied with a staycation. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. And then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear from the Cherokee County Sheriff about the search for those 2 escaped jail inmates. Plus, I'll look at a new project to build a roundabout at the intersection of Missouri Route 171 and Jasper County Route YY. And some area kindergartners participate in an autism simulation activity to get an understanding of what people with autism experience. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Torch Run is a staple for the Olympics, and Newton County, Missouri wanted to get in on the tradition. The Newton County Special Olympics hosted a torch run today featuring several members of local law enforcement agencies. The torch represents courage and celebrates the 140 Special Olympics athletes in Newton County. It's the first time the county did a law enforcement torch run in more than a decade. The weather held out for that. Some people at the moment getting a little bit more rain, Doug.
Yeah, we're going to have a few isolated thunderstorms throughout the evening hours, and then I think most of the night is going to be fairly quiet, and most of tomorrow is going to be dry. We could get a few pop-up storms, especially late, but a great day, actually, partly sunny, 83. 84 Thursday, severe threat really goes up by Thursday evening and Thursday night.
Thanks, Doug, and thank you for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. We're going to be right back here at 6. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.